G'day, it's Simon and Crystal from Pumped On Property, and in today's video we're going to break down some of the questions you've asked over the last couple of months. If you can please keep reaching out via Instagram, Facebook, email, and even in the comments below, we'd love to hear from you and put some of these questions into next month's Q&A. But let's get stuck into it. Crystal, the first one that we got was through Instagram, which was from a person that's a first-time buyer and they're having a bit of issue inspecting properties and wondering how they can get the information out of the agent. So it's like you've inspected thousands and thousands of properties. What are the types of questions that you ask to the real estate agent in that initial inspection?
Basically, there's a two-pronged approach to this. You need to call the agent before you even show up to the open home on the Saturday, because sometimes properties have sold during the week. They're still holding an open home on the weekend and you're wasting your Saturday driving around to these properties that are already under contract. So first things first, give them a call during the week, find out if the property is still available, and if it's still available, find out if they can provide you with a comparative market analysis of that property or a bit of a price guide, because a lot of the time these properties are going to auction or say contact agent online, and even if it's filtered within your range search on realestate.com or Domain, often enough it's outside of that price point. So you want to know what the price is, what the sales expectations are. You don't want to waste your Saturday driving around to properties that are outside your price or already sold. Then once you get to the property on the weekend, you want to be asking the agent things like, why is the owner selling the property? What can I be doing with my offer and my terms to make it as appealing as possible to the owner if you're interested in putting forward an offer? Asking the agent things like, are there any building and pest issues that they're aware of on the property? When do I need to have an offer in by? What are the offer terms and the offer process? Because again, in a hot market, at least what we're experiencing in Brisbane right now, you'll go to an open home on a Saturday, and unless you show interest or active interest in putting forward an offer, the agent may not follow you up before they sell that property. It could get to Monday, you and your partner have had a chat about the property and say, let's call up, we are interested, and it's already sold by that point in time if it hadn't sold by the weekend. So you want to make sure you're asking the agent the timeline of when they're taking offers to the owners and what the offer needs to look like to be in a competitive position, so that you are basically getting that offer in on time and not getting disappointed a few days down the line. So yeah, good luck if you're going to any open homes this weekend. Hopefully they go well for you. I'll jump into the next question. This came through as well through Instagram, asking how much does a buyer's agent cost?
Yeah, unfortunately, most buyer's agents won't list their price online, including ours as well. We prefer to learn more about the individual and determine whether there's some synergy and value alignment between what you're looking to do and what we specialize in as a buyer's agent. But what you'll find is there is a huge diversity in price points and service offerings from different buyer's agents in the market. We find that on average, you should expect to be paying as little as $10,000 or as much as $20,000 per property. Now, I know once you start to buy really expensive properties above the $2 million mark, then that's when sometimes the buyer's agency fee will start to creep up a little bit. But if you're buying a property between, say, $500,000 and $1 million, you shouldn't expect to be paying any more than $20,000, and somewhere between about 10 to 20. Now, something to recognise and something that you definitely want to ask when you're talking with some buyer's agents is exactly how much they charge and exactly where the money is coming from. Just remembering that in life, you work for whoever pays you. So when you're paying a buyer's agent, that buyer's agent is working for you. But if that buyer's agent is receiving some money or kickbacks from developers or builders or whoever it might be, then maybe they're not working with your best interest at the top of their mind. Maybe they're working with the best interest of the developer or the builder at the top of their mind. So just making sure that you ask those pointy questions, whilst it might be a little bit awkward, it's their job and it's their duty of care to make sure that you understand exactly where it's coming from. And if there's nothing precarious, then there's nothing really to worry about, because they're going to be honest and open and upfront with you. But definitely ask the questions and make sure you understand where the money comes from, because sometimes there's some hidden fees there that can cost you a lot of money to work with a buyer's agent.
Next question, straight into it. Will interest rates change in 2024?
Well, we don't know, right? So, the RBA makes these decisions based on inflation at the moment. So right now the data is suggesting that inflation is cooling. However, I did read an article from the CEO of JP Morgan Chase in America. He was indicating that he believes that inflation will stick around at somewhere in the 3 to 4% range over the next few years because of the geopolitical tension that we've got around the world at the moment. However, here in Australia, if you look at the information and news coming out of CBA, NAB, ANZ and Westpac, the big four banks, every single one of these banks expect the cash rate to start to reduce at some point within the next 12 months. Now, most of them believe the first cash rate reduction will occur in September of 2024. And then I think it was ANZ that doesn't think it will happen until about January of 2025. Now, all of them do believe that we are in for about a 150 basis point reduction between the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2026. But once again, these are all predictions. We don't know what's going to happen. So I think it's important to take some information from your team of advisors, your mortgage brokers and your accountants. Make sure you run your feasibility tests and your cash flow analysis before getting into a property to make sure that you can comfortably hold that property. Cool. What's the next one? Let's roll into it.
Best books. What are the best books that you've read as a beginner starting their property investment journey?
Oh, I love this question. But at the beginning of my journey, like it's really simple, and I sound like a broken record here because I'm just going to keep pounding the same books over and over and over again because if you haven't read them, read them. So the first one is, for me, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, of course, by Robert Kiyosaki. Second to that, I would also read The Barefoot Investor, just to give you some different perspectives. Kiyosaki's very on the property side of things. Scott Pape is definitely on the stock market or share market side of things. So, read both of them to expose yourself to both opportunities and then decide which one aligns most with your values and your goals for the future. When it goes to the property side of things, I really like Mastering the Australian Housing Market by John Lindeman. This is an incredible beginner's book, looks at the history of Australian property. It's not biased. And that's what I find, like a lot of beginner investment books are very biased to say, hey, read my book and then come and pay me some money so I can work with you. So you want the non-biased books. A new one that's just been written is Break Free Like the 1% by George Osguelis. He's actually a previous client of ours who now runs his own buyer's agency. But he wrote an incredible book that just breaks down the fundamentals of property investing here in Australia. It can be a really easy book to consume, really easy book to read. I think those 3 or 4 books are the best ones to start with. And then, there's other books on top of that. Is there any other ones that you would add to that list?
Nah, definitely, yeah. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Barefoot Investor are 2 of the... Then obviously if you want to dive a lot deeper into the economic system and the broader international economy, you've got Phil Anderson's book, Secret Life of Real Estate and Banking, Akil Patel, The Secret Wealth Advantage, and then you've got Fred Harrison's The Power in the Land and Corruption of Economics.
Yeah, those books aren't for the faint-hearted, and I probably wouldn't recommend it for a beginner because it's pretty in-depth, but if you're looking to become a full-time investor in the future, then they're must-read books, those ones. The last question was similar to that one, but more about the content that we consume. What about yourself, Chris? Like, what's some of the content or some of the podcasts that you're following at the moment that you feel worthy of sharing?
It's funny because the question came through and it was sort of like, not property related, but what content are you guys consuming? And I was like, in terms of property, I read the CBA updates that come through via email, jump online for Propertyology and SQM, the CoreLogic monthly updates and any videos that come through their Instagram and things like that. But I'm such a busy person at the moment, the stage of life I'm in, being a mum, raising kids. All my content algorithm is based around like mum and family life. So property, I just try to keep it as concise as possible where I can jump in and get an email update or go online and look at a quick article that's going to give me as much information in a short period of time.
But they're the best ones to follow. Like that's the data that you need to understand what is happening in the global economy, in the local economy as well. So, I follow all of those resources as well. But I also follow Sahil Bloom. Sahil Bloom does a blog post every single week. It's called his Curiosity Chronicle. I would recommend following that one as well. He drops some absolute wisdom bombs. So I really value some of the information that he produces. Another one that I really like is The Daily Dad. This is from Ryan Holiday. So, you know, I'm hoping to become a dad this year, and, you know, I want to be the best father that I possibly can. So, you know, he just has a really good way of writing and communicating and sharing his experiences as a father and some of the experiences of other fathers that we can look up to as well. So for my stage of life, those things are great. They're all email subscriptions that I read, you know, most days. Sort of start my day off with reading a little bit of the news, reading some of these things so I can just get my mind in the right frame. But at the moment, I'm right into audiobooks. So I'm just about to finish Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. Next one, I'm going into a pretty weird book called The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate, or Mate. I don't know how you pronounce it, sorry. Yeah. And this is a book about parenting, about how fucked up society is these days and how hard it is to be a parent, and just sort of shed some light on how you can become a better parent. And it's looking at a very esoteric view of becoming a parent. So, you know, I like that sort of weird stuff. And then, you know, I'm a 31-year-old male, so everybody knows I listen to Joe Rogan. I also love DOAC, Diary of a CEO. That's an awesome podcast. He has a really great communication style. I love the podcast from the boys on the Sunshine Coast called The Corrective Culture. Yep. They sort of talk about health and wellness and, you know, just creating your dream life. So shout out to Callan and Jake. Those guys are awesome.
I love it. Like, it's amazing. We're sort of two ends of the spectrum in this sort of things. I'm like sharp, concise. What can I learn in the shortest period of time? I know I need to focus more attention on this. It's sort of one of my goals for 2024 is consuming more content, having more time for me, and that time is like listening to a podcast I like while I'm training or something like that. I feel like I'm coming up for air for the first time in about 3.5 years. So it's been like a weird time of my life. I don't commute much to the office anymore because I work from home a lot. So you lose a lot of that time through kids, and I lose that commute. So it's sort of funny, but I really want to focus on picking up the content train a little bit more this year. But yeah, I think there's a balance between Simon and I, somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, nice.
But I love it. Some amazing content. For
awesome.
Sure.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. As I said, please keep sending through the questions and we'll do our best to answer them as good as we can. Until next time, thank you very much.
Woo! That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
That's cool, bro. Yeah.
Oh, sweaty. So sweaty. Oh, that's good. That's so nice, eh?